Hello, welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me once again. Today we are looking into a troubling case that has raised many eyebrows across South Africa. It involves a woman accused of illegally crossing young Mozambican boys through the border and then using them for street work once they got into the country. Stay with me until the end so you can hear the sources of this news and verify everything for yourself. Before we dive in, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more updates like this, and also share your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those cases that gets people talking. Now, to the matter at hand. According to reports, this woman allegedly crossed Mozambican minors into South Africa without proper documentation or parental consent. Once inside the country, the children were reportedly put to work on the streets, doing tasks like selling small items, carrying goods, and sometimes even begging. The situation has been described as heartbreaking because it raises concerns not only about illegal border crossings but also about child trafficking and exploitation. Border control between South Africa and Mozambique has long been a challenge. The line is vast, and while official points of entry exist, many people use illegal routes. Unfortunately, these routes are sometimes used for smuggling, human trafficking, or moving undocumented individuals. Authorities have stressed over the years that children are especially vulnerable in such situations because they can be exploited by adults who see them as easy to control. In this case, it is alleged that the woman used the boys not just for work but as a way to make money from their labor, treating them more like workers than children who deserve safety, education, and care. Community members who noticed the situation became concerned and alerted local authorities. It didn't take long before law enforcement and child welfare groups intervened. Reports suggest that several boys were rescued and placed under the care of social workers. These children are now being kept safe while investigations continue into their background, and steps are being taken to trace their families in Mozambique. This incident has once again shone a light on the larger issue of illegal migration involving children. Many children in neighboring countries like Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and even further north, come from homes affected by poverty. For some families, sending their children across the border, whether legally or illegally, is seen as a chance for better opportunities. But sadly, the reality is often different. Instead of finding better lives, many children end up in unsafe conditions, vulnerable to exploitation, abuse, or neglect. Government officials in South Africa have responded by calling for stricter border management, but also for regional cooperation. They argue that South Africa cannot tackle the issue of child trafficking and illegal child labor alone. It requires Mozambique and other neighboring countries to work together, sharing intelligence, monitoring border activity, and protecting vulnerable children before they are smuggled across. Human rights groups have also weighed in, describing the case as another example of the hidden crises in southern Africa. They stress that beyond border security, there needs to be attention given to why families and children find themselves in such desperate situations in the first place. Poverty, lack of access to schools, and unemployment are some of the root causes that push children into these dangerous journeys. For South Africans, this incident hits home because it ties into broader debates about illegal immigration. The issue has been a heated one in recent years, with many people expressing concerns about how undocumented migration affects communities, the economy, and public safety. While some argue that migrants bring crime and take jobs, others say that the real problem is poor governance and that migrants are often victims themselves. In this case, it is hard to ignore the fact that the children were clearly exploited and needed rescuing. Law enforcement officials have confirmed that the woman involved has been arrested, and she will be facing charges not only related to illegal migration but also child trafficking and labor exploitation. If found guilty, she could face a lengthy prison sentence. Authorities are also considering charging others who might have been working with her to transport the children across the border. Meanwhile, the rescued boys are reportedly receiving counseling, food, and temporary shelter. Social workers say that cases like this are very sensitive because the children need to heal from the trauma of being taken away from their families, forced into work, and treated unfairly. At the same time, steps are being taken to safely reunite them with their families in Mozambique once everything is verified. This case also raises another important question about the role of ordinary South Africans. Communities are often the first to notice when something unusual is happening. In this case, it was locals who picked up on the suspicious activities and contacted authorities. Without their quick action, the children might still be suffering in silence. This shows how important it is for citizens to stay alert and report suspicious cases, especially when children are involved. Of course, there's also a lighter side to how South Africans react to these situations. Many on social media have been discussing the case, some in shock, others expressing anger, but a few also finding ways to joke about the irony of it all. For example, one user said, "If these children were brought here illegally and made to work, at least she could have given them a payslip and UIF." Others pointed out that maybe the boys should be sent back with a certificate saying they survived their first South African hustle. While we must never forget the seriousness of the issue, sometimes humor helps us cope with the difficult realities we face. As South Africa continues to grapple with border control, child safety, and migration issues, this case will likely stay in the spotlight. It is a reminder that while the country has many challenges, protecting children must always come first. No matter where they come from, children deserve care, protection, and a chance to grow up in safety. If you found this update informative, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated on similar news. Also, share your thoughts below because this is a conversation that touches on migration, justice, and humanity itself. Do you think South Africa is doing enough to protect children from such exploitation, or do we need to push harder for stricter policies and cross-border cooperation? That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and remember to stay tuned until the end for the sources of this news so you can verify it yourself. All images used are for illustration purposes only. Sources: Times Live, News 24, IOL, Daily Maverick, The Citizen.